So, I was in a Hollywood movie, and today I'm going to talk to you about that experience. I was in a movie with the directors of a big franchise. I don't want to say the directors, actors, what the movie was, stuff like that, because the movie's not out yet, and I signed an NDA, so we're not going to have any of that going on. I'm not even going to let you know where it's filmed or anything like that, but I'll talk to you a little bit about the process of how I got in it, what I did, and what my overall experience was. Okay, so I saw news locally that, oh hey, they're going to be shooting a movie in my state. And I've seen that kind of stuff before. So, like, I submitted a casting call one time to a casting call for Expendables 3. I didn't get in that. But then, I thought, wow, they are filming more stuff in my state than I realized. So, I want to find something and do something. So then I found some Facebook groups. If you get on Facebook for your state and you type in like your state and then film, there's usually a Facebook group where people are posting up casting calls and stuff like that. So that's how I found out about the casting agency that I used. Now, I was only cast as a background actor, or also known as extras. So I didn't have a speaking role, and I just kind of stood in the background. And I was on set for 2 days, but I was only used 1 day. And I got paid probably around, after taxes, around like $68 a day. So I didn't realize that whole thing where you could show up and you could actually not get used. The first day that I showed up, we got there real early in the morning, and I just showed up at a parking lot, and there wasn't anybody around directing people. I saw some other girl there. I'm like, oh, what are you there for? Oh, I'm shooting for this film. I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess I'm going with you. So I hopped in a random white van, in pitch black in a city, at 5 or 6 in the morning. It was very, very early. And then we go to the basement of this church. They said a lot of times that they'll use churches and stuff to have their crew and extras stay at, because if they're shooting during a weekday, the churches usually aren't getting used that much on a weekday, so they can rent those out and put people up there. So I got there, and they had this fabulous breakfast bar set up. And I kind of didn't know what the protocol was, so I stayed away for a while. But eventually they had people come around. They're like, "Oh, hey, you want to get some breakfast and stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." But eventually I got through my pride and went over there and got a granola bar or something like that. But by the next time that I showed up for one of those, I was comfortable and got whatever I wanted and stuff like that. So that day, we sat around for hours, and then they're like, oh, okay, we need to get some people on set. So they took, there's probably a dozen of us, they took us over to where they were shooting, and the first couple people right in our line here, they're like, go, go, and then they ran them in front of a camera, and they just shot those 2 people going in front of a camera, and then they had the rest of us, 10 other people, just hanging back. And it was freezing. So we stood out there freezing to death for maybe an hour and a half or something like that. Just kind of BSing and stuff like that. And one thing you've got to worry about on set is whether you're talking too loud for the mics to pick stuff up, because we got yelled at. There's mics everywhere. It wasn't a big deal, but they're like, okay, we're gonna announce that we're shooting next time, so you guys, everybody shut up. And then they didn't use us. We went back, we had lunch, and so I just kind of, I ate their food. They had amazing food. They had so much variety, and very good chocolate cake. But they had I don't eat meat, but they had steak and shrimp and all kinds of stuff like that. And I kind of mingled with some of the other background actors, and they were like, oh, I was in this and that, and they showed me a picture of somebody that was in Avengers, and so that was kind of neat to meet people. I was so nervous and everything, and I was so disappointed that it didn't really go that well the first day. So we ended up, they were like, okay, thanks for coming, you guys are all cut. And I was kind of like, oh, so I'm not getting used? And I talked to somebody else there, like, oh, yeah, just get a hold of some lady and then tell her you weren't used, and then they'll put you back in. So I emailed her, and I was like, hey, I didn't get used. And she was like, well, that sucks for you, so reapply next time. And I was very down about that. But then immediately another casting call for another day came up, so I applied, and then she let me in right away. So then I was excited again. And the next day when I went, it was at another location, another church, and it was, oh my gosh, probably like 6 hours of sitting around, just sitting around. This time I brought a book. So I just sat around and read a book, and then eventually they were like, okay, we need to get some people in bathrobes and sleeping clothes. And nobody had any of that kind of stuff because they didn't prepare us correctly. They said that we're supposed to have street clothes on. So we're all dressed in like jeans and plain t-shirts. And when you go to these background extra things, you want to be wearing your own clothes, and they need to be plain. So I would say a tip is to bring probably about 3 different wardrobe options, but none of us knew that we would need robes and stuff because we're supposed to be coming out of our houses at night. So they provided robes in this situation, and right away I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take a robe. And I got some like gray woman's robe. It didn't matter, I guess. I was shot back far enough, so we go out there, and it's neat to see all the prep and rigging and stuff like that. They basically like built a crane one day when we were out there just to rig all this camera work up. So they're shooting some stuff in the middle of the street, and my job is just to stand as an onlooker and be kind of like, oh, what's going on, Can't really say what was in the scene, but I did get in the scene in a Hollywood movie, but at this point, I don't know when it's coming out because of all the COVID stuff. Seems like every single movie is delayed. So my guess is this is probably going to be like, I don't know, in October, November release, something like that, maybe even Christmas. But when it comes out, I'll tell you what it is. Maybe I'll be able to get a screenshot of the part where I'm in it for like a nanosecond. But yeah, if you want to be an extra or background actor, go to your state on Facebook and type in film, blank film, like Nevada Film or something like that. And you'll find real legit casting agencies. If they ever ask you to pay money to be cast in something, it's a scam. So the point is, you're supposed to be getting paid. You're not supposed to be paid for this privilege, or you're not supposed to be giving up money for this privilege. So be aware of that. Anyhow, I hope to be doing some of that kind of stuff in the future too, but who knows with the COVID stuff right now. I haven't seen too many casting calls or anything like that. But thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.